If you've been a landlord for even a short amount of time, you've probably heard this rule: tenant must gross 3 times the amount of rent. It sounds simple, it sounds safe, and it sounds like a solid way to protect yourself. But here's the truth. 3 times rent criteria is not enough. And if that's the only thing you're using to qualify tenants, you are exposing yourself to serious risks. I'm talking missed rent, evictions, and thousands of dollars in losses. So today I'm going to break down why the 3 times rule exists, where it falls short, and what you should actually be looking for instead. Hello, I'm Gabi Witas, owner of Nex-Gen Real Estate and Property Management, helping landlords in Chicagoland navigate the sea. So let's start with why the 3 times rent rule even became a thing. The idea is simple. If someone makes 3 times the monthly rent, they should be able to comfortably afford it. So if the rent is $2,000, you're looking for at least $6,000 in gross monthly income. And on paper, that makes sense. It creates a baseline, it filters out clearly unqualified applicants. But here's the problem. Income alone does not equal financial stability, and that is where landlords get burned. Let me give you an example. You have 2 applicants. Applicant A makes $6,500 a month. Applicant B makes $5,800 a month. Based on the 3x rule, you'd like to go with the applicant A. But what if I told you applicant A has credit card debt, car payments, student loans, and wage garnishments, and applicant B has minimal debt, clean payment history, strong saving habits? Who is actually the better tenant? That's why income is just the beginning, not the decision. By the way, this is exactly why I created my tenant screening checklist. This is the same system I use to qualify tenants step by step, so I don't miss anything. And if you don't have a structured process yet, I'll drop the link below. It walks you through everything, because tenant placement is one of the most important parts of staying profitable. Now let's get back and let's talk about the next layer, the income verification. Because just because someone says they make 3 times their rent, does that really mean they actually do? And this is where you need to look down, look at the documents and verify. Start with the pay stubs, but don't just glance at them, actually review them. You want to look for consistency in pay, frequency on payment, year-to-date earnings, employer information. And here's something most landlords miss: wage garnishments. If you see money being taken out from one's paycheck, that's a red flag. It means there are existing financial issues. There may be court-ordered payments, and their actual usable income is lower than it appears. So even if they technically meet the 3 times rule, they might not have enough left over to comfortably pay rent. And here's the reality you need to understand. In an emergency, rent is not always the tenant's top priority. If someone is financially stretched, they are going to prioritize food, car payments, utilities, childcare, and rent can fall behind. That's how you end up with late payments and eventually non-payment. So now let's take it one step further. This is where most landlords stop, but this is where you start to separate average screening from professional level screening. You need to look at the debt to income ratio, which is DTI. DTI tells you, out of their income, how much is already spoken for. Someone can make $6,000, but if $4,500 of that is going into debt, that leaves very little room for rent. And that's where the 3x rule completely breaks down, because it doesn't account for financial obligation. And this is actually step number 3 in my screening process. Income first, then debt analysis, because one without the other is incomplete. Now let's talk about something a little more complicated, which are the self-employed applicants. This is where things get tricky because income is not always consistent and it's not always easy to verify. If someone is self-employed, you should not rely on single month, single statement, or verbal confirmation. You want to look at year-to-date earnings, bank statements, and tax returns because self-employed income can fluctuate. Someone might have a great month, but that doesn't mean it's stable. Consistency matters more than spikes. And this is where a lot of landlords either approve too quickly or deny too quickly because they don't know how to evaluate it properly. If you're not comfortable evaluating income, debt, and documentation, you need a system because guessing is not strategy. So let's bring that all together. The 3 times rent rule is a starting point, not a decision-making tool. What you actually need is a full picture. Verified income, consistent earnings, low or manageable debt, clean payment history, real references. Because tenant placement is not about checking a box, it's about reducing risk. And I'll be honest with you, most of the problems landlords deal with later come from poor screening decisions up front. Late payments, property damages, evictions, they don't happen randomly. They're predictable, but only if you know what to look for. And that is exactly what I focus on. Because one tenant can wipe out months of profits, your time, your energy. I've seen landlords lose tens, 15, or even $20,000 because they relied on surface level screening. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be that 3 times rent is not enough. You need to verify, analyze, and be consistent. And if you're serious about protecting your investment, start with my checklist that I've mentioned to you before. It's free in the link below. And if you're in Chicagoland area and you're looking for a property manager who takes this seriously, well, we're here to help you. Because at the end of the day, the right tenant makes everything easier. The wrong tenant makes everything hard. And it all starts with how you screen. Thanks for watching, and as always, where's your future?